Want to welcome you guys back to another episode of Pistons Talk Podcast presented by FanDuel. Pistons play their second game of the week, second night of a back to back against the Toronto Raptors. Little two-game homestand, and Pistons got home around 4:30 in the morning. That was a really, crazy game against OKC. They have the Raptors, and tonight's game was really fun to watch. A lot of ups and downs in terms of the quarters. We'll be going over our quarter notes. Then we'll get into the box score and then open up the show to Q&A. And I know I've talked about it on previous podcasts. I've talked with you guys about there's a company that I was supposed to do stuff with. Well, tonight is the night where I'm actually going to try a product that they did send me. I don't want to spoil it too much. You'll see the product in a little bit, but let's get into this post game show. So let's start with the first quarter with the Pistons and the Raptors. So to start this game, Toronto did not make a field goal for like 4 straight minutes, and it's kind of funny because like the thing that a lot of people were talking about Toronto is they went on like a 30-0 run against the Orlando Magic the other night. And they went like 3 straight minutes without scoring a basket, which was, kind of funny. Pistons really didn't capitalize, I think, as much as they should have for Toronto not making a basket. But shout out to Jalen Duren. Had a phenomenal game. I know last game against Toronto, Yoko Pertl like really had a good game against him. Duren was in attack mode very early on. I think Duren had the first 5 field goals, and then just both teams combined were like 0-16. It was like a stat that the FanDuel broadcast put on the screen, which was like kind of wild. Very just random stat to start this game. But the Pistons defense in the first quarter was just swarming the Raptors. They really couldn't do anything. They were making them very uncomfortable. And you just love to see that. Something with this defense over the past 3 games, it's really kind of just like snapped. And I really don't know what has kind of sparked them to kind of pick up their defensive intensity even more. It reminds me, in December when the Pistons had like the number one rated defense, where they were just rotating, communicating, and just being a absolute problem for teams. The fact that they're getting that type of effort and defense from their guys right now, I think, is incredible. Um, Kind of getting into later in the quarter, started to pick up a second foul. It was kind of just like a ticky tack foul. I don't really um, know why he decided to try to kind of take a charge, but he didn't take a charge. But he had to sit on the bench for the rest of the first quarter. And once Duran kind of went to the bench, the Raptors got into their run, and they were able to kind of get back into this game. And the Pistons had to settle for a 6-point lead after 12 minutes of play. And you got to give a shout out to Kevin Herter as well. This made some really good reads in the pick and roll. But 26-20 after 12 minutes of play for the Pistons. Going into the second, Toronto had to take a timeout after a Karis LeVert three-pointer. They looked very sluggish to come out in the second quarter. But the Pistons didn't really do themselves any favors. The turnovers, I thought, in the second quarter were very troublesome, and it kind of made me worry that I didn't know if they were gonna, have a rest of the game where they were just not taking care of the basketball. And the Raptors capitalized on the Pistons turnovers. What the broadcast said, just within the second quarter, the Raptors had like 20 points off Pistons turnovers. And their defense, Toronto's defense, I should say, was just a little bit more physical. They were really attacking the Pistons in the half court, making sure they weren't getting comfortable like whatsoever. But the Raptors were able to keep this close after a Danish Jenkins buzzer beater three. Pistons had a 5-point lead going into halftime. So it was 59-54 Pistons. Coming out of halftime, Pistons best quarter, third quarter. They I don't know what it is about this team, man. Something happens in halftime. I'd love to be a fly on the wall in their locker room after halftimes because they just come out a completely different team. Scotty Barnes got a technical, as you complained about Yoko Pertl getting fouled. A lot of technicals in the second half of this game. Toronto took a timeout after Jalen Duren hit a go-ahead bucket, and the Pistons were up 67-58, and that was his 21st point of the season. Jalen Duren had a phenomenal game tonight. Danish Jenkins got called for a tech with arguing with the referee, and it was like the most nonchalant technical foul I've ever seen an official do. He wasn't like aggressive like some refs. He was like tech. Like it was just like so nonchalant. Like I didn't even know he got a technical foul. Brandon Ingram did miss that free throw, so I guess ball don't lie, as Rasheed Wallace says. But the half court sets were much better for the Detroit Pistons. There was a lot of cutting, a lot of backdoor cuts, a lot of body movement, and I just really liked the ball movement out of the Detroit Pistons. Coming out of halftime, Tony Brothers called Asar Thompson for a technical foul. This is the first time I've seen a player actually get a technical foul for going like this to review it. And then Asar kind of laughed in Tony Brothers' face. Pistons actually won the challenge too, by the way. So maybe they will rescind that technical foul. Tony Brothers, I don't know. I mean, both teams were chirping at him online. I think he just kind of had enough. But excellent quarter by the Detroit Pistons. They were able to get out to a 19-point lead after only leading by 5. So 100-81 after 3 quarters of play. Going into the fourth, they started with the second unit in Danish Jenkins, and it looked like the Raptors were just gassed, and they just really couldn't keep up with the ball movement with the Pistons in the half court. But I was wrong. I thought they looked gassed. Raptors going an 8-0 run. And I will say, once we got up around 20-ish points, we stopped passing the ball. We got into like these isolations, and like Pistons have kind of done that throughout the season where they get a little bit of a lead and they get a little bit comfortable. So Pistons going an 8-0 run with 5.5 minutes to go. JB takes a timeout, and we still had a 15-point lead at that point. And then after the timeout, Raptors get a couple of steals, 4 straight unanswered points. So that 8-0 run turns into a 12-0 run. And, they were able to, calm down a little bit. Danish Jenkins got fouled. He got poked in the eye by Jacoby Walter. He fouled out of the game, hit some free throws. Jalen Duren had a basket. Duncan Robinson had a big 3. The Pistons were able to win this game. It's their 55th win of the season. And it was a hell of a game. I didn't really know like how they were going to come out, second night of the back-to-back. And they win 127-116. First time since 2007-8 that the Pistons have won the Central Division title. You're like me, and you grew up with the Going to Work Pistons. They used to win Central Division titles, it seemed like every other year or every year. So it's been quite some time. I don't really know how people feel about, division titles. I know back in the day they used to hang banners and, kind of celebrate it that way. But it's a huge accomplishment to me anyways. The fact that they were able to, clinch that. They haven't done that in quite some time. Obviously, job's not finished. I know a lot of us are really focused on the playoffs coming up. Winning a playoff series, getting out of the first round, I think is another goal for this team that they want to accomplish as well. But, just take, a little bit of time and, appreciate like what they've done this year, winning 55 plus games when a lot of people had them. I know early in the season, it's a 44.5 win team. In August, I remember looking at that over under and like, yeah, right. Pistons are going to win 50 plus games. I don't know what, Vegas is thinking, but they were able to win this game. And I love it. I love it. I love the effort on a second night of a back-to-back. Let's get into the box score. You know what? Actually, before we get into the box score, we're going to try what the company I'm partnering up with sent me. So you guys probably saw earlier today, if you follow Cade Cunningham's social media on Instagram, Cade is actually partnering up with a company called Dea. Now, Dea is a vegan company, and they make a lot of different foods. They actually sent me some pizzas to try. So one of the pizzas I'm going to try with you guys right now is a fire roasted pizza that they did send me. It's pretty thin crust. I am going to try it live on the podcast right now. This is something that's been in the works for quite some time. And it kept getting delayed, and there was just like a lot of different things. Like the Pistons were on a losing streak, didn't want to do it then. Then Cade got hurt. We didn't know how long he was going to be hurt, but we're going to try it tonight. And shout out to the good people at Daya for actually sending me a lot of these pizzas to try. But let's try it. Honestly, it's not bad for being frozen pizza and vegan. It's not bad, honestly. I'll probably finish it after I'm done talking to you guys, but I did want to take a bite just to try it. But if you guys are want to just try some of their pizzas, the pizza I tried right now was fire roasted. It's got a bunch of vegetables on it, onions, bell peppers, red peppers. Actually, pretty good. That's probably the first time I've ever tried a vegan-free pizza or a vegan pizza, not vegan-free. I sound like an idiot. A vegan pizza, but pretty good. But let's get into the box score. And I forgot to actually upload the things. Give me a second to do it. I am just so out of sorts today, man. I've just been so distracted like all day. But let's get into the box score. I apologize, you guys. So Tobias Harris in 33 minutes for the Pistons at 12 points. He was 4 out of 9 from the field, 1 for 3 from 3, 3 out of 4 from the free throw line. Also had 5 rebounds, 6 assists, 1 turnover, plus 7. Duncan Robinson had a very good game as well. 29 minutes, 19 points, 6 out of 9 from the field, 5 out of 8 from 3, 2 out of 3 from the free throw line, 1 rebound, 2 assists, 1 turnover, 1 steal. He was a plus 10. Jalen Duren, MVP tonight, in my opinion. 35 minutes, 31 points. Only missed 1 shot. Like, that's insane to me. Excuse me. 12 out of 13 from the field. Perfect from the free throw line. 7 out of 7. 9 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 turnovers, 1 block, plus 7 in the plus minus. I was looking at the SARS like below him, but just a excellent game by Jalen Duren, coming out aggressive. Needed that rest day, obviously, because he comes out and drops 30 points on the Raptors. Sar Thompson in 26 minutes had 5 points. He was 2 out of 6 from the field, 1 for 2 from the free throw line, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 turnovers, 2 steals. He was a plus 15. And he kind of I don't know. Like I felt like there were times in this game where he could have been a little bit more aggressive. But overall, I liked his ability tonight to crash the glass, and kind of take some of those lead, guard duties when Danish Jenkins wasn't consistently bringing the ball up the court. But I'd like to see SR be a little bit more aggressive, and I think he will. We've seen flashes of it where he's aggressive, but past couple of games he hasn't really looked to score as much. Like the Atlanta game is where I really saw him attack the basket, be really aggressive. I want to see that SR on a more consistent basis. And I know it's a process, but I think he will get there. Danish Jenkins in 37 minutes had 21 points. He was 5 out of 9 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3. Perfect from the free throw line as well. 9 for 9, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 turnovers, 1 block, was a plus 13. Paul Reed in 13 minutes off the bench had 10 points, 5 out of 6 from the field, 2 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 turnover, 1 steal, 1 block, was a plus 4. Ron Holland in 13 minutes scored 1 point. He was 0 for 4 from the field, 1 for 2 from the free throw line, 2 rebounds, he was a plus 1. Javonte Green in 6 minutes did grab 1 assist and 1 steal. If I had to kind of guess, as people are asking, why didn't he play more? He played his ass off in OKC. They were just kind of probably giving him a break. And Karis LeVert was playing pretty well. He's had back-to-back games where he's been more under control. You got to give credit where credit's due. He had 12 points. He was 5 out of 7 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3. Perfect from the free throw line where he made 1 out of 1. 1 rebound, 2 assists, 1 turnover. Finished the game with a 0 on the plus minus. Kevin Huerter in 22 minutes had 8 points. He was 2 out of 6 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3, 2 for 2 from the free throw line, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, 4 turnovers, 1 steal. It was a -1. And Marcus Sasser in only 8 minutes played had 8 points. He was 3 out of 4 from the field, 2 for 2 from 3. And unfortunately, he re-injured his hip. Broadcast said it in the fourth quarter that he re-aggravated his hip injury that he's dealing with right now. And you hate to see that and hear that if you are a Piston fan, because Marcus Sasser has stepped up, I thought, in the opportunities that has been given to him. But to kind of look at the team stats for the Pistons and the Raptors, Pistons shot 60% from the field to the Raptors 48. They were 44 out of 73 to the Raptors 43 out of 89. They shot 57% from three, you guys. They were 13 out of 23 to the Raptors 34%, where they were 10 out of 29. They shot 87% from the free throw line, much better than the 50% they shot last night. They were 26 out of 30, so they only missed 4 free throws all night. Raptors only shot 65%. They were 20 out of 31. So much better job of capitalizing on their free throws. They only had 34 rebounds. Raptors did beat them in the rebound battle by 1, and the Raptors had 14 offensive rebounds. Kind of just have to give them credit. Their bigs and their wings really crashed the glass hard. Assists, both teams actually tied. They had 33 apiece. Raptors did have more steals, 13 to the Pistons 7. Pistons did have more blocks, though, 5-3. Turnovers, Pistons had 21, which again, you don't want to have 20 turnovers. It's going to be very difficult to win games when you do turn the ball over. But if you're shooting 60% from the field and 57 from 3 and 87 from the free throw line, it's going to be pretty hard to beat. But you don't want to keep doing that. You got to take better care of the basketball. And even JV said, I think his exact words in the press conference was, "We were tripping, not taking care of the basketball," which it kind of made me chuckle a little bit. Fast break points, the Raptors did beat the Pistons in that category as well, 14-12. Points in the paint, Raptors beat the Pistons in that category as well, 60-54. Both teams had 22 fouls, and both teams got 2 technical fouls. So we had 4 technicals in this one. So just a very chaotic game in the second half with technical fouls, because the refs were kind of in their feelings. But overall, like, you love the effort by the Detroit Pistons these past 2 games. But want to get into the Q&A with you guys. I see a lot of you guys leaving comments. So let's get into it. So Piston Fan 11 says, Central Division champs, do they have a locker room celebration with division champ gear and champagne? They used to do that in the past. Should pass our Shalern champagne. Isaiah Thomas company owns it. I know they have bigger goals, but they deserve to celebrate that milestone. And so do all of us fans. Congrats. I don't know if they're going to do the celebrations like they used to. I know back in the day, like you mentioned, like it used to be a really big deal if you won your division. I mean, you can look at previous teams like Chauncey and Ben and Tayshaun and Rashid and all those guys. Like, they used to celebrate when they would win division titles. I don't know if they're going to pop champagne or anything like that. I think the only way the Pistons pop champagne is if they win a championship. And I know, some fans probably like to hear that. I don't know if they're gonna, pop champagne over a Central Division title. It did used to mean something a little bit more when I was a kid. I think now teams just don't really celebrate it the same way, and that's okay. That's okay. But I think as fans, like, we can celebrate it. That's a really big deal. We haven't won it in quite some time. It's a Motor City Ben Diesel. I like this version of LeVert we've seen over the last week. I think he's finally found his groove at the perfect time for this team. You have to give credit where credit's due. I will praise a player when they're doing well. I will call them out when I feel like they're not bringing their best or they're hurting the team. I think Caris LeVert has done a much better job of staying under control, and he's been hitting some really nice shots. He's been hitting his threes. He's been getting to the basket. He's been facilitating. The defense has been excellent over the past, I want to say, like 4-ish games, I will give him credit where credit's due. He's been great. Um, my only thing that I kind of had a problem with at times was just like kind of like the ball handling in the half court where I think some decision making, I'd much rather someone else kind of handle the ball. Like I even got to the point like if you just focus on scoring and shooting, I'm okay with it. But he's been a plus off the bench for the Pistons, and you do have to give him that credit. 100% agree. Motor City Ben Diesel, he looks good. If you're getting that type of production in the playoffs, I think as a Piston fan, you feel okay with it. You also have a comment saying Cade getting hurt was a blessing in disguise. It allowed guys like Levert and Herter to get more minutes before the playoffs and get more comfortable with the team. Also, big minutes for Danis is great. I know other people have also mentioned this. Cade is such a hub and such a focal point of our team that he has to generate so much that I think sometimes we don't realize it because he plays most of the games. Like he's not really sitting out, but I think it is good for guys like Kevin Herter, Karis LeVert, Danish Jenkins, Marcus Sasser, Javonte Green, like all the guys on the bench have stepped up, and you love to see that. And I agree with you. It could be a blessing in disguise because like they're getting those extra reps that they normally wouldn't get. And it can kind of raise their confidence as we get closer to the NBA playoffs in the first round. Really depends who we're going to play. Have to wait for the play-in tournament to kind of conclude to see who the Pistons play. But I agree with you. I think, guys getting more reps, getting more opportunities is only kind of going to bolster their confidence as we, get closer and end the season. But it was good to see Cade on the bench. I know George Blaha said on the broadcast during the game that Cade's back to light workouts. We should be getting a Cade Cunningham update actually pretty soon with his reevaluation process. And we'll probably know when he's going to come back. I think within the next, evaluation process, when the Pistons do their PR updates, they usually kind of tell fans like, we'll check back in a week and then we'll kind of proceed. Instead of non-contact drills, he might do like 1v1, 5v5 contact drills. So they'll kind of see where he's at and possibly up his conditioning. But it was a good sign to see that Cade was with the team, smiling, joking on the bench with Jalen Duren and Ron Holland. They were having a good time tonight. The magic number is now 2. So, yep, 2 more wins, and the Detroit Pistons will clinch the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. So, that is something. I'll just say that. I had a brain fart there for a second because I was thinking about something else. But yeah, 2 more wins and they clinch the number 1 seed. You would have told me that the Pistons were going to hold on to the number 1 seed this year from November all the way to almost towards the end of the season as we approach April. I would have looked at you like you're crazy. But I mean, covering this team has been so much fun over the past 2 years. It's obviously a lot easier to cover this team when they have as much success as they've had, and the turnaround's been incredible by JB and Trajan. But you would have told me that, I would have just kind of laughed because I really didn't know what to expect when those guys came, but I've been extremely pleased with both of them. Richard, excellent game overall. They basically put the screws to Toronto. Now they're the Central Division champs. Congrats to the boys. 100%. Like Toronto saw us, I think, on a off night. Like the way that they were able to just like get 20 offensive rebounds, and Brandon Ingram couldn't miss a shot. Brandon Ingram was really good tonight, by the way, I will say. But yeah, they were able to have a good third quarter, kind of like play with their food a little bit after they're up 20-ish in the fourth, but able to close it out and make sure that they won that game. You don't want to, with just a comeback like that and give them any sort of hope. But you're able to take care of business and win your 55th game of the season. And you have the Minnesota Timberwolves coming up on Thursday. So that's another home game that should be a really good game. see if Anthony Edwards is going to play. Pretty sure he will play. But I was really pleased with the way that they came out on the second night of a back-to-back. Will they make it to 60? 4 road games, 2 home games. Probably will finish with 59 and will rest their players for the playoffs. Yeah, I think they'll be anywhere between like 58 and 60 if I had to guess, Richard. And that's a hell of a season because I don't think too many people going into the summer had the Pistons as a number one seed. I remember doing podcasts during the summer, and everyone kept falling in love with like the Orlando Magic because they traded for Desmond Bane. And obviously, they've had a lot of injuries this year, which sucks to see. And there's been turmoil in the locker room with Jamal Mosley, their head coach. A lot of people were hyping up the Atlanta Hawks for their offseason additions with like Luke Kennard and Kristaps Porzingis and Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Well, they traded Trae Young and they traded Kristaps Porzingis, but they had a really good deadline, and they're actually like a very sneaky good team. A lot of length, a lot of athleticism. They like to play up and down the court. They're going to be a very tough first round matchup with whoever they do get matched up with, but not to like kind of have a backhanded compliment, but a lot of people had Orlando, Atlanta, Cleveland, New York above the Pistons. A lot of people thought they would kind of stay the same as like that 6 seed, but they've been the number 1 seed. They've been the top dog of the Eastern Conference since November, and I don't really think a lot of people saw it. James, Holland is struggling a little bit. The game in OKC, I thought he had just a phenomenal game defensively. He could have been a little tired just from all that energy he exuded trying to guard SGA. Only played 13 minutes, and I think JB saw that like Kevin Huerter and Karis LeVert were just having better games and wanted to give Javonte Green and Ron Holland a rest. Like Ron played 13, Javonte played 6. Give them a day's rest tomorrow and then get them ready for Minnesota on Thursday. There isn't any Cade updates, DJ Billy Bob. We will get another release pretty soon, I think, but it'll be interesting to see if he goes from non-contact to maybe 1v1 to 5v5 to contact drills, and we'll kind of I think what the Pistons are hoping is like during this I don't want to call it a rehab because you can't really rehab along. During this process, they're hoping that he'll be good to go like right for the playoffs. Like I believe the playoffs start like 3rd week in April. They're hoping that Cade is good to go by then. And like if he has to sit out, the remainder of the regular season and miss the 65 game criteria, obviously it sucks for him not making all NBA or being eligible for NBA awards. But I'd much rather him be good to go for the playoffs in the first round. But we'll have to wait and see what kind of happens with Cade. But everything you hear in the broadcast and you hear on podcast, from other guys that cover the team a little bit nationally and like what people kind of hear, it's good news. They're very optimistic that Cade will be good to go, and playing again very soon. But I don't really have any updates. I'm not credentialed, as you guys know. I have not been credentialed in quite some time. I just didn't want to keep it up. I could tell you guys a story. The couple of months I was credentialed at another time because it's actually pretty funny. But I am going to wrap up this podcast, you guys. Hope you guys have a great rest of the night. Again, the final score in this one with the Detroit Pistons over the Toronto Raptors was 127 to 116. And when you kind of looked at the game beforehand, they had the Pistons as a 2.5-point favorite over on FanDuel. And they win this game in dominant fashion. I wouldn't really look at the final score as kind of an indication of how close it was because they were up like 23. Kind of felt like they were just kind of just like chilling and not passing the ball as much. But a really good win by the Detroit Pistons in this one. We'll see you guys on our next post game show on Thursday. It's already up live on YouTube, so make sure to like the video or set a reminder for yourself if you guys watch these on YouTube. But until next time, you guys, take care. And as always, go Pistons. Peace.